Hit that, dude, come on.
To write letters.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Girls and Heels, episode 36. Woo! Through the year. Hey, Jerome's happy. He's like, yeah, hallelujah.
Jazz hands.
Jazz hands. Yes. Come on, Ryan, join in. Jazz
Come on,
hands.
Ryan.
I'm going to
So,
try to remain
Ryan-
professional, thank you.
Join
Yeah,
us.
it's not gonna
Be
happen.
one of us.
I do have to say, you said you were going to dress in a new suit, so let's see this new suit.
Yeah, this new suit that the 20,000 people have been itching and scratching and clawing to see what's going on. This is our new suit, ladies and gentlemen, HWWS Web TV t-shirt. You can find it on the website, hwwswebtv.com. And I got to say, this shirt is
Yes,
styling
baby.
and this shirt is styling and profiling, and we're here to entertain, Brian.
Nice. So today is going to be a fun topic. We're all fans of film and TV, cartoons,
Maybe just a
and
little bit.
a lot of these have vehicles that are very famous, that are so famous that sometimes more popular than the show they're from.
Oh, yeah.
Film. So let's go around the round table and everybody introduce yourselves. I know you guys have been here before, so we got the lovely Willow Schuyler, our co-host.
Hey, folks! I'm excited for this episode. You guys have no idea how much vehicles I've collected over the years with not only just myself, but my husband, who is a huge car guy. So I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, I can take this one, use this one. So I'm excited for
I kind of
this.
think that your husband is like George or Jay Leno, and like you're gonna go in the garage and have like 50 real cars just parked there.
I'm not entirely sure how many vehicles we actually own between him and his dad, but there's quite a few.
And then once again, joining us from Nerd Culture, Ryan. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. I'm just happy to be here. It's Saturday. The weather's nice. I'm wearing my brand new suit. There's a lot to be celebrated, and there's a lot to be happy about. It's the holiday season. 'Tis better to give than receive. And we're going to give your audience a great show today, I hope. We'll see. Hopefully there won't be any arguments.
And Jerome
There
Connor.
will be arguments.
There will be comments, that's for sure.
Jerome, how you doing, buddy?
It's good. I'm exhausted. I started a new job. I'm really tired. But we'll see where this thing goes. It's been a wild ride, and I'm glad to be here. Just so you know, this topic sparked a huge conversation at my new job. So just so you're aware of this.
Yes.
Okay.
I love and see what you did there. It's going to be a wild ride. So yeah, we're talking about famous vehicles. There's been so many on TV and cartoons and film across the years. So we'll start with you, Ryan. What is the first one that actually pops in mind?
The first one that comes to mind. All right, well, let's start with that. The first one that comes to my mind is a great piece of cinema. I think it's one of the greatest, for me anyway, it's one of my favorite films of all time. When two people are running out of a museum, and a guy says before he answers the question, where does he get those wonderful toys? Look at his brother. He says, get in the car. And she says, well, which one? And then Danny Elfman's score kicks in. It's the Batmobile to end all Batmobiles. It's Michael Keaton's 1989 Batmobile. Because there you go. She knows what's up. As soon as that vehicle appeared on screen, I said to myself, this is a nice car. I want that in my garage right freaking now. And it's one of the best comic book films ever made in my humble, professional opinion. So the 89's Batmobile, yes, I love it to pieces. And yes, that's a great way to kick off a show, wouldn't you say?
Man, that is
Absolutely.
a beautiful piece of work.
Absolutely.
That car, and it's so funny because there's a lot of arguments about like all the Batmobiles, like and I know the 66 is very popular. A lot of people love that one, but there's arguments, like there's pros and cons to all the lineup of Batmobiles. But that one is a fan favorite.
As Willow tries to illustrate her 1960s point.
It's a beautiful car.
I'm loving Willow more and more every time I do it.
I know. When she brings on my 89 Batmobile, she speaks to my heart. When she brings on the 60s Batmobile, she speaks to the child in Jerome's heart.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, is that 89 Batmobile, did they use a Corvette, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I don't know. Hang on a minute.
Someone's going to have to do some Googling in the backstage area, Brian, but that's a great way to kick off. Is talking about a little thing called Batmobile.
Drums on it.
Let's see here. 89, huh?
That's the first one that comes to mind, is that beautiful car that I still want to this day. I want to drive it, have it be street legal, and let it be the car for the rest of my natural born life.
Let's see, 89 Batmobile.
And why
insert Danny Elfman's score here that we can't because we don't want to get
How you doing, Grant?
What's up, Grant? How you doing, buddy?
Chevy Impala chassis.
There you go.
The Chevy Impala. Oh, nice.
Chevy Impala chassis. Doesn't that remind Nicole of something or something? Where's that Impala?
See?
Where is it again?
Sorry, folks, I don't have an Impala.
Isn't an Impala sitting in Nicole's driveway right now?
A black one?
Actually, I think you just reminded her. She grabbed her keys and she's out the door. Oh, she's gone.
Oh.
Nice knowing you, Nicole. Have fun driving the Impala around today.
She's got the shotgun and the machete.
She's got a few things laying in that trunk. I don't know.
Yeah. So with that 89 Batmobile, I mean, we know it has the machine guns that pop up. It has the cool shield and stuff. What is your favorite feature?
It's a great way to pick up your friend from the airport, And,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
What is your favorite feature on this Batmobile?
My favorite feature? Dude, I just like the Batmobile in general. Why do we have to be so specific about this?
No. See, I think Ryan likes the light that blinded Kim Basinger.
Well, I mean, she was one of my favorite parts of the movie because she's a beautiful woman in her own right. But she did a little too much streaming in that movie. That could have narrowed that down a few notches. But other than that, what's my favorite feature on the car, Brian? Gee, I don't know. Just the cockpit, the way it looks. If we fit two people in there, I don't know. I just like the car in general.
And just remember, folks, it is a Christmas movie.
No, the first one. The first one is a great movie as itself, but the second movie is a Christmas movie.
Yeah, no, the Ice Princess was with the penguin.
That's Returns is technically a Christmas movie, but the first one is not.
Yeah, the first one had Jack Nicholson, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, but remember, Jerome, you could call him Joker, and as you can see, I'm a lot happier.
Yeah.
So sticking with this before we go around and ask everybody else is, did you like what they did with the Batman Returns when they took that same Batmobile and did some extra stuff to it? Did you like those extra things?
Yeah, it didn't bother me, dude. It's a Batmobile, okay? I love that car. I don't care what they do.
And
yeah, of course, Willow, you have the ski boat from that scene in Batman Returns. Excuse me. But yeah, no, I was fine with it, Brian. He had to shrink it down to get through that tight spot. So, you gotta do what you gotta do, buddy.
The bat plane.
The bat plane, which made the bat signal. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you, Tim Burton.
Yeah. So we'll hop over to you, Jerome. When you're thinking of famous vehicles, is the Batmobile the first thing?
The Batmobile is the number one in everybody's head. I don't care what it is. Everybody immediately thinks Batmobile. And the reason why is simple. it's been around since the 1930s in one form or another. You know? Okay? I mean, there's a movie serial that they did of Batman back in the 1940s. Batman shows up in this car, and the reporter, you're going to love this, the reporter looks at Batman and goes, does Bruce Wayne know you have his car? Okay? That was the Batmobile back then. And for a long time, the Batmobile was this convertible, so they could jump out, whatever. And then 66 set the standard. Okay? I mean, you say what you want about the 66 one. It was the first flashy Batmobile. Okay? Now, the comic books had a really interesting one, which had this big Batmobile head on the front, bat face on it in the 1950s and 40s, which was really creepy if you think about it. But then it got technical, which is where Ryan's 89 started. From there, it got into Batmobile is armored. It's a vehicle for, combat and all that. 66 was more of the Dark Knight detective, And what I liked about the 66 one was you pull that lever on the top, the chutes come out, and you spin that car right around, And then they also, when they were, because it didn't have a key, you had a start button to whatever. And if you knew you were going to be around, they flipped this little thing, said press here to start, and you got rocket launchers going on in those tubes behind the scenes. The 66 Batmobile set a standard of stuff. 89 was the dramatic change. I have to agree with Ryan on this. It was a really good Batmobile. And then I think everything else, including the last one, is just a variation on the 89 theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 66 Batmobile was created by George Barris, who has done several movies, and TV vehicles.
She's getting out all the vehicles.
All the props. This show is brought to you by Visual Props, brought to you by Will Schuyler. Share on Facebook.
One of the huge ones that George Barris created was the Munster Coach and Dragula.
That's a great car.
A fun, charming series within its own right.
Didn't he also come up with the Monkey Mobile?
Yes, he did.
There you go.
And also the General Lee for Dukes of Hazzard. Unfortunately, I don't
Good
have
old
General
John
Lee. I don't
Schneider.
know why I don't have a General Lee.
Well, now you've got something to look for.
There you go. Something to look for during the holiday season.
But yeah, I have something else. He also did Elvira's Macabmobile.
Yeah, but nobody was looking at the car with Elvira.
No, I think they were sorry. Beautiful.
They were not looking at that car.
Yeah.
And I gotta rep her stuff because she is my lady.
Yeah.
Elvira, if you're watching this, you have a big fan in Willow Schuyler up in Canada. I just want to point that out.
I think in Willow's next life, she's going to be Elvira.
I think she already is, Ryan.
I think she is too. I agree with Ryan.
Yeah.
Someone has to take over.
Yeah, the torch has to be passed, Willow.
Willow, did you ask Elvira or Cassandra, has her real name is? Did you ask her to adopt you?
All the time.
Okay. All the time. You say all the time? Is that true? No.
I'm pretty sure I was switched at birth somehow.
You don't have like a restraining order from her, either, do you?
I hope not. I hope not.
Not yet. She still likes me. She liked my post on Twitter not that long ago. So.
Garrett. The music.
Oh, Garrett.
Huge tracts of land.
Oh my God! So before we hop into some other cars here, what makes these cars so famous and sometimes more popular than where they come from? And we'll start with you, Jerome.
It has to deal with a combination of things. Okay, it's not just one thing. You got to realize that, because if that was the case, then Detroit would be pumping out these things and we'd be buying them left and right. What it comes down to is the car part of the story? Okay, any moron can hop into an Acura and drive down the road in some action film, or what they drove in Mr. and Mrs. That Brad Pitt Angelina Jolie's spy thing. What they do? They hop in a minivan. Nobody cared about that minivan, okay, in the chase scene. But you get something like, say, the Austin Martin DB5, okay, of James Bond. One, it's a cool car, but it's got it's used in the story in such a way that you remember it, and it's almost part of a character itself. Okay, and if you walk out of that movie or you walk away from that TV show and you're remembering the car, that's what it does. It has that impact. Okay, we remember the General Lee. Why? It was a piece of junk racing car that they found in a junkyard. Okay, if you go back to the first episode. But because of the way it was used, because, I mean, really, how many orange cars do you see down south that are not up on blocks? You know, they used that car in such a way that it was its own character. Nicole will tell you at Supernatural that Impala had its own episode. You know, Baby had its own episode. Exactly. There we go. Okay.
There we go. Yeah.
So
Okay.
you have two versions of that. One in the case, and then the other one sitting in the driveway. Okay.
Someday,
It's gonna sit in that driveway. Yeah.
but that's
I'm
what it
gonna
comes down
find me a sugar daddy who's willing to pay 20 grand for just something I can fix up.
Track down, like go to all the farms in your area. Just
Yeah.
look at what they have in their garage.
But yeah, the car has to be a character. They
Yes.
tried that with what was the when we were just talking about pre-show McCormick with Brian.
Frank Castle and McCormick.
It started off as part of it, but it faded. Why? Because they kept ignoring the car and they were concentrating on their mystery of the week thing. And it basically faded into the woodwork by the end of that show. Okay.
Yeah.
It was a splashy car. People were all excited about it. And then by the end of the first season, nobody was talking about that car. You know, it had lost its people barely remember that car. You know? So there's my answer.
Yeah. And it's funny. I think a lot of these like films and TV shows will also the car manufacturers use them as commercials.
Yep.
If you look at like Jurassic Park, the Ford Explorer was introduced in that film,
And it's sold, but now you look at it and it's just like it's part of the scenery.
Yeah.
Okay. Ford Explorer is not as exciting anymore. I mean, it's like go back now and look at the Jurassic Park as a movie. Nobody's talking about that damn car.
They're talking about Ian Malcolm with his shirt off.
Whatever, you know. But you go back and you watch any of the Batman films. You look at the Bond films. We talk about that car
Because it's a great car.
It's not just the car though. It's how it's used.
Oh yeah.
When you talk about the cars like they're characters, like they're always the forefront of a scene versus the background. So Dean used to talk to Baby, and the boys would. Every episode there was a chase with that car. Every episode you heard the horn. Every episode, you know, the
Music was playing.
The Hazard. The music was playing through that car.
It was always jumping.
Across the hood. They were
Always classic
jumping
rock
off
music.
something.
Yeah.
And there was a character to the car.
Okay.
Well,
let me
same
do
thing
this.
with Kit.
Ryan, Smokey and the Bandit. What's the first thing comes to your mind?
Are you saying Ryan or Brian?
Are you saying Ryan or Brian?
Either one of you two.
Okay, well, full disclosure, and I'm sorry to the 20,000 people watching this at home, I've never seen Smokey and the Bandit.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
And we were talking about this in the backstage area, Jerome. I've never even seen the Blues Brothers.
Oh, that's it. Get him off the show.
You know what the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Smokey and the Bandit is Burt Reynolds' mustache for some reason. But then the second thing is the car.
It's the Trans Am.
Yeah.
But it's the second thing, not the first.
Well,
The
actually,
mustache is a big character I've heard in that movie.
That's true. That mustache is a character in its own right.
Isn't it, though?
It is. But
Yeah.
but most people think of that Trans Am or they think of the semi that Jerry Reed was driving. Okay. And that's my point is it's actually a character study of these guys trying to outwit the cops, but everyone thinks of the Trans Am, and the sales of Trans Ams went through the roof when that car came.
Actually, wasn't it a Firebird? Firebird, Trans Am are two different cars, right?
I don't know. I gotta look it up. Now you got me thinking.
Yeah.
Either way, it was Trans Am.
Boy, the chat is not happy about me not seeing half these movies. This is terrible. My reputation is going down the toilet now.
When I think of Smokey and the Bandit, I think of when he pulls up along the side of the road when she's in her wedding dress.
It's a Pontiac Trans Am.
Pontiac Trans Am, okay.
All right, we have someone else joining the conversation.
Great, that means I get to be replaced. Okay, I'm going to leave now, Brian.
Hey, y'all.
Well, we're giving you a history lesson.
We have to ask him a short question. How's your dad doing?
I'm doing fine. Glad to be able to join.
How's your dad?
He's doing okay. He has been admitted to the ER, to the hospital. So my sister just dropped me off, and hopefully he'll be fine. And I just ask for everybody to keep him in your prayers.
Thanks.
Yeah, our thoughts are with you and your family.
Thank you.
So, Brian, since you're joining us, when you think of like famous vehicles from TV, cartoons, film, what's the first one that comes to your mind?
You really put me on the spot with this one. I gotta say, any of the dinosaurs from Power Rangers. I mean,
I see Ryan in the backstage.
These kids today, I
anything
swear.
that can,
That was the
any
conversation
vehicle that can combine to make a big giant ass robot has to get a thumbs up from me.
These kids today, I swear,
It's okay, Jerome. I have all the respect for about these vehicles.
So Carl is saying, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to drive Ryan off."
Oh no, I'm still here. Yeah.
that was a good entrance, Ryan. I'm impressed.
Yeah, Carl. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. It's going to take a lot more than a few comments about me not seeing half the movies that have been made this century to get me off the show. But
actually, we're talking about
last century.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sorry, 20th, not 21st. But see what I mean? I've been living under too many rocks, Carl.
So,
I'm
Jerome,
sorry.
let me ask you this: since you were younger when the first James Bond movies came out, was that car very popular?
The Austin
before Bond. I mean, in racing it was, right?
No, look, the Aston Martin DB5, which was the Sean Connery ones, up through Goldfinger, and I think was also in Thunderball. But the point is that car was non-existent. Nobody knew that car except for those in England, and then Bond showed up, and everybody in America wanted that car. Okay. The DB5 cemented itself as an iconic car the moment that it was done in Goldfinger. It showed up in From Russia with Love. It showed up in other things, but the moment it showed up in Goldfinger, everybody in the world wanted that car. Okay.
Weren't they racing that though? Wasn't?
Yeah, they were. It was Aston Martin was a racing company, but they had branched out into passenger cars because that's where the money was. You got to make money to race, and so poof. So it shows up in Bond films, which, by the way, part of the reason Bond films were so popular was John Kennedy stated that one of his favorite books of all times was Goldfinger. So everybody went to watch Bond films.
Cool.
Okay, and then we get the car, and you'll notice after a certain point we had to move to more modern stuff, which the less said on a couple of them, the better. Okay, because some of them are just junkers. You look at them and you're going, "Oh God, they didn't survive the '70s," But I mean, yeah, we talk about the BMW that they did in GoldenEye. We talk about some of the other cars, but it's still the DB5 that everybody sees in their mind when they say a James Bond car.
Yeah, is that the same kind of car that they're using in the newer films?
You saw it in and I can't remember. I apologize for not remembering the film. The
Casino
film that
Royale, I think.
No, the one where they killed off M.
That was Skyfall. Spoilers if you haven't seen Skyfall, which is I know it's an 8-year-old film, but still.
Yeah, it's too bad. But the point is,
rest in peace, OGM, and then Mallory, a.k.a. Ray Fiennes, replaced her. But hey, he's a good M. I'm not gonna lie.
But what you'll see, there's a scene where Bond basically takes the tarp off of a DB5. Okay,
yeah, and then the theater went nuts.
Yo, yeah, I was right there with it.
Yeah, we were there, baby. That was a fun year. Yeah.
And what happened was they even made reference to Goldfinger when they flipped the top off the stick shift, and she threatened to him to go ahead and press the button. Okay, which was the ejector seat. Yeah.
Eject me. Go ahead, eject me. Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Yeah.
Now, personally, I think what they did to the DB5 in that film was a crime against humanity. Okay? That's all I can say about that.
Yeah, Silva wasn't very kind to the DB5 in Skyfall.
No, not at all. So, I cried.
A.k.a. Javier Bardem's character.
Yes. So, Willow, we know you have a love for, like, your table in front of you is full of cars and stuff.
She likes cars, Brian. She likes cars.
I am very much enthralled in the car culture. As it were.
Willow, where were you 20 years ago when I was single?
20 years ago?
Wow. We're getting some revealing numbers and behind the scenes here.
Yeah, all right. You got me on that. But you know the meaning here. It's great that
20 years ago? Oh, my goodness gracious. That was the new millennium.
Don't even ask me.
Ryan. I'm an old man.
Yeah, no, I'm very much a car girl, and
Respect.
If it wasn't for my husband, I probably wouldn't have been introduced to half the stuff that I love personally. I absolutely love the original Gone in 60 Seconds, and the Italian Job.
Which version of the Italian Job have you seen?
I saw both.
Excellent.
And then a little movie called American Graffiti.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow.
That's impressive.
It's a good movie.
Featuring an unknown Harrison Ford.
Wearing a cowboy hat.
Ron Howard was in it.
Yeah.
That kid, Ron Howard.
That kid, Richard Dreyfuss. What did you say? That girl's saying something to him out the window, and he's like, wait, hold on. What'd you say? Nope.
You mentioned American Graffiti. What about our generation's American Graffiti, Dazed and Confused? Oh, man. There was a lot of great cars in there, too.
You know what, Brian? If you were really a car guy, you'd be a lot cooler if you did. Yeah. Dude, Dazed and Confused, to me, this is a completely different conversation. I know this is off topic. Real brief. Dazed and Confused has my favorite soundtrack I've ever heard in a movie.
Oh, yeah,
great soundtrack. Yeah.
Not so great on the car.
I don't remember so much the cars from that film, but American Graffiti was like built around the cars.
It was about cruising the town. What George Lucas did as a kid.
Cruising USA, which was a great video game.
And then, of course, it led us to more franchises like the Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
and this is where Jerome says these kids today have no idea what a good car movie is.
You don't, because I'm gonna mention one.
If you were thinking about like our love of cars, it started in the 50s when people started really souping them up and making them pretty, and they did go cruising, and everything about your life revolved around your car.
Oh yes,
Van Cannon did that in 1955.
And so when everything revolved around your car and they were being made here in the States, like our lives kind of revolved around that culture, that car culture of even in North America more so. And I think it didn't really bleed out into other countries as much as it does here. And I think that's maybe why our heart and soul is so tied to cars, because we love the freedom that cars give us.
Okay, so after the Second World War, okay, you've got a whole mess of guys coming back who were 19, 20, 21-year-old kids. Let's not kid ourselves. This was a war fought by young people, okay? Most wars are. They came back and they wanted something different. Detroit had ramped up the entire world for the war effort. Now they had to do something. They came out with cars that were made of steel. I mean, these were like tanks, man. You look at those cars from that day. You could hit something and it wouldn't even dent the paint. Okay, and you had V8s, real engines underneath those hoods. And because we didn't have such a large population in the States, a lot of room to go driving.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when Eisenhower came up with the interstate highway system, all bets were off. Everybody was driving. You know. And then what happened? The accountants in Detroit said, "Let's add more cups holders in there," and the cars went downhill from there.
The 50s and the 60s brought us such great movies as Rebel Without a Cause. We've had, Gone in 60 Seconds, Italian Job.
The greatest two-car chase scenes in the world. French Connection, underneath there, and Bullet.
Bullets, yes.
Yeah.
And you want to know a fun fact for those that haven't seen Bullet? Steve McQueen did his own driving.
The man was a race car driver.
And guess what, Brian? I have seen that movie. So this is where the comment section does come at me with pitchforks. The other one though, Jerome, French Connection, haven't seen it yet.
You just need to see the chase scene. That's all you need to see.
Right.
That chase scene was done illegal.
Really?
Yeah, they did not have permits for that.
That was illegal back then.
Yeah.
That whole scene in San Francisco. They
didn't sign any permits for that.
No. The chase scene in French Connection was underneath the subway in New York.
Yeah,
and they didn't have permits to do that chase scene. So you'll watch how they do the cuts. That's how they did it, and they did it fast.
Well, with Bullet in San Francisco, they kind of didn't have any. They had actual police officers coming after them.
Really?
Thinking it was like a real thing. They didn't know it was a movie.
And nobody caught McQueen in that Mustang.
Well, they were ready.
Okay.
People broke all the rules back then. They didn't care.
It was Steve McQueen, man.
Yeah, and by the way,
every guy wanted to be Steve McQueen. You know?
Yep.
And
everybody wanted
to date.
I'm not gonna.
all the guys wanted that car.
Oh yes, somebody found that car, by the way, recently.
Really?
Yeah. Apparently, it had been, like you said, in the back of somebody's barn.
A barn.
And they found it, and they ramped her up, and then unfortunately they sold it, but they got several millions of dollars for it.
So Terry brings this up.
Yes.
I've seen all 5 of those movies, by the way. I've seen all the Dirty Harry movies. I've seen them. Deadpool is definitely a weird film to a degree, but it's got its moments. I mean, it's Clint Eastwood. You can never go wrong with Eastwood.
Yeah.
And what
I'm
did you
just
guys
throwing
think?
this in the hat.
Oh. Go ahead.
I'm gonna throw in the hat since you can't forget about the Mach 5 on Speed Racer.
Oh yes.
Yes.
You know, that car introduced
to make up for my mistake. To make up for my mistake earlier, I gotta say the Mach 5 on Speed Racer. Let's face it, even me who's seen the live action movie and watched some of the cartoons, I wanted that car just so I could have it and use all the gadgets and everything. I mean, it was one of the cars where.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that show when that show first aired here in the States. I can tell you right now, in my middle school, every kid in school was drawing blueprints to how to make that car. Okay. So
I love how when they did the live action Speed Racer, that they got that car like as close as possible to what it did in the cartoon.
Yeah.
Really? I don't remember that movie ever coming out.
Yeah, it was pretty horrible.
Yeah.
Less said, the better.
Yeah,
too many lights,
good,
man. That
but-
film was trying to blind everybody with too many light shows. It was lens flares.
I had a headache. I had a migraine after I left that movie. I was like, what? is going on.
I
Migraine, man.
had a migraine, but for a different reason, having to do with how horrible the film was.
Yeah. Yeah. We can save that show for 2021. Trashy movies. Yeah. There you go, Brian.
I'll be
Heels
there.
and Heels presents Trashy Movies. The worst
Yeah.
of the bunch. Let's do it. And Jerome is going to be front and center for that episode.
I'll have a list
Yeah.
12 miles long.
He'll have a list 20 miles long. Ryan's going to have a list 10 miles long. Willow's going to have one 15 miles long. So, yeah, there you go.
Hey, Jerome, since we're talking about older vehicles and stuff, what about
He is a wise man.
there was this theory that was used in Christine.
Oh yeah, Christine. Hang on a second here. Christine is on my list, and we did discuss that at work, and it was at 58 Plymouth Fury.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was great because the car was the character. That's why we remember it.
Yep.
I mean, who's going to remember, a 79 Pinto as a killing machine other than getting tailed end? I mean, nobody's gonna go, geez, that Pinto is revving its 4-cylinder at me. I'm so scared. Nobody's thinking that. And as a former owner of a Pinto, I can't say that nobody tailgated me. Okay.
So how was like the actual sales of this vehicle? Was this a popular car?
Yeah, the 58 Fury was a popular car, but the problem was that it didn't get popular because of the movie. The movie came out in the 1980s.
Yeah,
So-
but when the car came out, though, was it a
It was,
popular?
because it was a cruising car.
Yeah.
And the gearhead in your high school you could always find him underneath the hood, tinkering, trying to get that little extra juice out so he could drag on the weekend. It was solid steel, so that thing could take hits. You bang into the guy that you're dragging with, you're lucky if the paint got scratched. So yeah, they were solid cars. Horrible brakes though. Horrible brakes. So
Jerome, I own, my father-in-law has a 58 Fury. It's
There you go.
Buckskin beige. It's beautiful. It's super nice.
Yeah, and
you
I
go to
bet
car
you if
shows with it.
And I bet you if you take a sledgehammer to the fenders, the sledgehammer will bounce off those fenders.
Yeah.
Because it's that strong.
Okay, we need to see some photos. We need to see some photos of this car.
Ooh, there's some excitement happening there.
Uh-oh.
We have kids.
There we go. That's 7-year-olds decided to come running through. They're doing the pseudo pillow fight.
Well, as we were talking about vehicles and people, everybody wanted to own a car, and every female wanted to date somebody. Let's talk about the Ferrari 308 GTS that Tom Selleck drove in Hawaii on Magnum PI.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but to drive that though, you had to have a Detroit Tigers cap.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely, says the Michigan girl.
And sales on that one, did pick up, but because it was an expensive, super muscle car, only the very rich could afford it back then.
Which I think is probably why we all wanted to date somebody that drove one. But all
right, yeah,
I know. Okay, like full disclosure, because I have a thing. So like, I was only, how old was I?
Well, this ran from 80 to 88 or something like that.
Okay, so I was like 0 to 8 when Magnum PI was on. So every moment that I had ever watched it, like on TV, actually, when I was growing up, and then in reruns, I was like, because I was a kid, it was either Tom Selleck could be my dad, or Tom Selleck needed to be my husband, which is really weird. But I loved him so much. And he like reminded me of my dad in the first place. So it was okay, except for when I got older. And then it was just exciting because I was like, that would be the awesome place to drive that car is in Hawaii. Like,
What was interesting though about that is if you watch like from season to season, and I gave up on the show after about the 4th season. Okay, was the emphasis on that car was de-emphasized by the 2nd season. You know, it wasn't a lot of we're driving the Ferrari. In the pilot, it was huge. You know, it was work the lock, don't look at the dogs because he's trying to steal it. To hang on a second, I gotta herd cats to get the children out of here. People loved it. In the first season, it was all about that car. People were talking about it constantly. And then they had a cash change, and the whole thing changed, and the Ferrari was desensitized. Not desensitized. Was de-emphasized, and now what were we focusing on? We were focusing on the helicopter. You know,
PC's helicopter.
You're right, and that's what I mean earlier when I said that how sometimes a car like in Hardcastle and McCormick really popular at the beginning, by the end of the season, everyone's forgotten about it, and that's the same with Selleck and the Ferrari.
Yeah.
And Garrett brings this up. Oops, this one. There we go. Yeah, they blew up the original in that first episode, and I gotta say, I actually do like this reboot of Magnum PI.
That's why I walked away. Was they blew up the Ferrari? You know, you don't blow up a Ferrari.
Once you hurt a car that is a precious human being to Jerome,
well, now that they've like rebooted the series, and now that I'm 40 and it's Jay Rodriguez, I mean, it makes it a little bit more okay.
Yeah,
to have an unhealthy attachment to Magnum PI again. So,
did they cancel that show?
No,
it's
okay.
It's one. And the car that he's driving now is just a newer model of the original.
Yeah, but nobody's talking about the car.
Well, yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah, they did the same thing with the Kit for Knight Rider reboot. They just updated it. It's called the Kit Industries 3000, not 2000, and it was a Ford Mustang.
During
GT.
the show itself, they rebuilt that car 3 times. Okay,
Yeah, well,
from the
go.
original in the pilot to the ending, it was a different car by the ending. Okay, it was horrible. Okay,
So
the original.
yeah, you bring up Kit. That's a very popular car at car shows.
Yeah, and Mr. Feeney was the voice of it.
Yeah,
Mr. Feeney.
she's got the original Kit. Okay,
love
Yeah.
that.
and hang on a second here. I got to bring this up because I want to about the cars. You know,
The things we learned about these shows.
This was another car and the driver where everybody wanted the car and all the girls wanted the driver. So
well, yeah.
Brian, I just want a talking car that can do everything for me. That's I mean, come on. And then he wears that ridiculously good-looking watch, and he's like, "All right, partner, let's take a little skeptical of ourselves. Anything particular in mind?" I mean, it's like, come on, dude.
All
I
right,
didn't
so
have this unhealthy attachment to Michael from Kit.
so
from Kit, but
it was a Pontiac Trans Am, Firebird Trans Am when it
Yeah.
started. Okay. Let's see what they did here. They did several changes to the car over the years.
yeah.
Okay. Let's see if I can find what they did here.
Yeah.
And every time you turned around, it had some new gadget or functionality.
That's the beauty of it.
yeah, I like the hyper jump.
Did you say wait, a hyper drive or a hyper jump?
No, it was a turbo boost,
Oh, okay.
which was funny because it was originally just intended as popping the nitro.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you're gonna use something, use NOS, because that's
Right.
what I learned about Fast and the Furious. If you want to go really fast, put in 2 canisters of NOS.
Yeah. And what was interesting is if you watch in the pilot, it's just a turbo boost. You turn on the nitro and off you go. And then they added the jump sequence, and that was hugely popular with the audience. Why? Because a certain other show in the South was doing the same thing with their orange car. So, yeah. Very good, Will.
I mean, I don't listen to that at all.
no, not at all.
I think it's fair to say that Willow knows her history about certain cars. Very good.
Only because of my husband.
Oh, sure.
Because of the love of your life, Willow. There you go.
Yeah, you're blaming your husband, huh? That's like blaming your dog for certain other things.
I'm only here because my husband couldn't be here.
It happens. It's okay. Someone's got to, sub in for someone if they have to leave. Or they got other plans. Let's just put it that way.
I think Kit was one of the first vehicles that the toy line Transformers had crossed over with a few years back. They made a Transformer out of Kit, and they were so popular that a couple of our other vehicles we will mention became Transformers more recently.
Yeah.
Jerome doesn't look happy about that. I think independent Jerome is upset.
Go ahead, Jerome. I can see the wheels.
No. I just some things just shouldn't be done. That's all I can say,
So it's fair to say that Jerome's not a fan of when you cross the streams, it could be bad. So
very good point.
Well, it was only a toy, and I thought it was a cool toy that they wrote.
For Jerome, it was real. Potentially. I'm just saying.
Okay, but that's how deep seated some of these like loves of things are. Like, don't mess
Don't
it
mess
up.
with it.
That's why I'm saying don't mess with an original.
It's like it's iconic just the way it is. Don't try to fix it.
Yeah.
There's never going to be another supernatural baby car on a show.
Oh, there will be, but it just won't be a 67 Impala.
Well, it won't be the same as the supernatural car. I'll tell you that.
Right.
But see, it's like other muscle cars though, because like the General Lee is a muscle car too.
Yeah.
It's just that it's a different.
It's a Dodge Charger.
It's a Dodge Charger as opposed to an Impala. And the point is that when you want to have a show about a muscle car, you have to find out, like you have to decide what speaks to it. Like I loved like certain other cars. Like nobody talked about the Octomobile. Like nobody talked about
there yet. We haven't gotten that.
And so like there were little things that you hold on from when you're a kid, or the Mystery Machine, like little things like that you kind of grow up and find out that is an actual real car, and you're like, damn, I would have loved to have one of those.
Yeah, but the mystery machine was popular with guys who said, "Hey, do you want a piece of candy?"
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Or stoners on the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a conversation for another day entirely.
But look, I mean, you look at the stuff, and car culture does translate into other countries nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the popularity of the TV show Top Gear. Okay.
Oh boy.
I'm a big Jeremy Clarkson and that crew of a fan. Okay. That's where I learned about the oh god, I just blanked on the name of the car. I'm having such a time today. 1,000 horsepower is not 10 radiators. The Veyron.
Oh.
Okay. I want a Veyron. Okay.
Maybe
293 miles per hour.
Maybe jolly old Saint Nick will give that to you for Christmas. You never know.
Yeah. Let me put it to you this way: the tires only last 10,000 miles, and each tire costs $30,000. Okay.
So basically, this car has 4 cars as wheels, basically.
Go watch him. Go watch when they raced against a jet fighter. Okay, a mile long race.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, it was an interesting one. Okay. But the point I'm getting at is car culture has always been on the. I mean, Ford versus Ferrari.
Great movie.
Okay.
Yeah,
that was real life. Also, though, is that you go look at where's the biggest race other than Indianapolis? It's the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the one people talk about if it's not Indy or Daytona. Okay.
Or the Brickyard.
Yeah, but we also talk about the Grand Prix at Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
I mean that's high end stuff. And you're looking in Europe at cars, and now the Mideast with all the oil-rich barons, they're buying up every car or building new cars left and right that we're all eyeing and going, I want. So car culture has gone around the world. Okay, the problem is the U.S. has a longer history.
Yeah.
Ford versus Ferrari is a very good movie, by the way.
Yeah.
It's on my list, Willow. It's on my list.
I want the cars.
I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna watch that movie. I'm very much looking forward to seeing it.
So, but yeah, I mean, you look at those. I mean, we hadn't talked about Ecto 1, but Willow did show us she did have an Ecto 1.
My Ecto 1 is currently parked in its garage right now. So
The pillow version of this vehicle, not the actual car itself.
Hey, Willow, what do you think of the in the trailer for the new Ghostbusters about it having a gunner's seat?
That's taken away from the
you know
cartoon.
what? I don't know. It's
called Ghostbusters Afterlife.
I'm sure my husband's gonna be like ecstatic when he sees that in the theaters.
What about when the theme song hits? I think people will lose their minds when the theme song starts to play.
But you gotta admit,
I'm gonna be crying like a baby when that.
See, like, here's the thing with the gunner's seat, they didn't really change the car, right?
That's true.
All they did was added a feature.
It's an accessory.
Accessory, exactly.
It's an accessory, man.
So we're back to it's still the original car.
It's still an Ecto.
Right. We didn't get some new car to call the Ecto 1, you know, that we want to sell, whatever. I mean, granted, this one needed new rings, new pistons, new compression. Okay.
The whole enchilada that a car sometimes needs later in life.
Oh my God! I was listening to it and I'm going, you just buy the new car, okay? Forget this junk. But I mean, if you look at it, like you look at Ecto 1, right, and then you look at that other Ghostbusters film that came out, the last one. I'm sorry, Ecto 1 is not a hearse. Okay, it may look like a hearse, but it
it was the an old school
station wagon.
Station wagon, yeah.
Woody, wasn't it?
They
Really
used to use them as ambulances years ago.
Yeah, I think it was an ambulance.
Had that thing on the top of the hood. Oh, yeah.
I just gotta say, this new Ghostbusters coming up is the perfect vehicle for Paul Rudd. It's like a perfect combination for the type of actor he is.
Dude, he's one of the few actors who doesn't age at all.
Okay, so Ecto 1 is a 1959 Cadillac Meteor Futura duplex.
Okay.
So basically, it's a caddy.
Okay.
Caddy.
Okay. You know, tell me, when was the last time you heard of a hearse being a caddy?
Never.
You know?
Never.
Not really.
So
no.
That was part of the problem I had with that last film. Okay, you want to be the Ghostbusters. Certain things don't change. You know.
He's got a point.
And whoa! Write this down. Ryan just admitted I had a point. I want that written down.
No, I mean, Jerome, the key here on this show, ladies and gentlemen, is that Jerome is always right.
No, he isn't. No, he isn't.
Well, I mean, with your opinions, you seem to be.
Well, that's just an opinion, okay?
True, that's true, but still.
Hey, Sage, we don't deal with logic around here. You know? Or we wouldn't be on this show.
Let's just say Jerome is wise than the other 4 people in this room. Let's just say
no, difference is Jerome has more experience. That's all.
I'm just going to bring this up though, since we're talking about hearses. So the hearse that the daughter in 6 Feet Under repurposed, the green hearse. I was like, I don't know how old I was. I was in my early 20s. So I was like, when I was watching this show, I was like, that would have been the coolest car. I'm a little dumb. I'm a little weird. But like that would have been the coolest car. Like you could fit a lot of people in it. It was big, so if you hit something, it wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah.
Like, that was like the car that I should have had when I turned 16.
But you also want a Volkswagen bus.
Yeah.
No, you don't. No, you don't. I've been in those. My dad had a Volkswagen camper. You did not want to be in one of those.
I only want one because of the nostalgia that goes with it. I know they're not, good cars, but.
So there was a movie that before we started the show, Ryan, of course, that he hasn't seen it, Driving Miss Daisy. Drove a 1949 Hudson Commodore, and the reason why I bring this up is because the movie's called Driving Miss Daisy, and Morgan Freeman, he was always driving her around. I think this was a.
Did he narrate this whole movie like he narrates everything else? No kidding.
A lot of the film took place
That was a bad
in
joke.
the car.
So he was narrating the movie the whole time.
I guess.
Essentially,
Yeah, essentially.
Because he says that in every documentary. My name is Morgan Freeman. And then he starts narrating. So there you
You know
go.
what? That's pretty good. Can you do that again?
No, I'm not going to do it again because I don't want to ruin my reputation. My reputation's been ruined 3 times today. I don't want to risk making a
Oh, no.
mistake. But yeah, I see where you're going with that.
Yeah, and I, was looking it up.
Yeah.
A lot of these older cars from like the late 40s and 50s really had cool designs. Like they just had really like the bumpers, they had the large windows. And Jerome knows what we're talking about.
Sorry, I missed it.
It was about cruising. It was about being seen and seeing out the windows. That's what it was about.
What, cruising?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It was about how am I going to look cool to the girls?
Well, exactly.
Okay, that's what it was.
Seen.
My dad did the whole cruising thing as a kid in the 1950s. Okay, and I asked him about it, and he said it was all about getting the girls. It had nothing to do with competition. Well, competition from the other guys of who got the hot one. But
Well, it was like that in the 40s too, though, because
Yeah.
my grandpa picked up my grandma.
there you go. See, it worked, didn't it?
You know,
Yeah, we're just cracking open the history books on this one.
So, but it is all about being seen, and that's why even references now to like, souped up cars is about being seen. It's about the persona you put out there. It's about being seen.
And you were right earlier. The James Dean Rebel Without a Cause, that was a huge influence back then in the cruising scene.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everybody had the cigarette hanging out of their mouth. They all wore the white T-shirt.
You're tearing me up.
Yeah, there you go, Ryan. You're getting it.
I am. Yeah.
There's
I have seen
even Grease Lightning in Grease.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw what was it? Rebel Without a Cause. I saw that on a big screen in my theater. Was replaying classic films. That was one of the first classic movies I saw.
Excellent.
That's a good way to see a movie.
Jim Bax's.
Mm-hmm.
How was your experience watching a classic on the big screen?
It was fun, man. I've seen a lot of classic movies on the big screen for the first time, and that's one of the best things I like about my local theaters. That they'll replay these classic movies that I never got a chance to see when I was a youngin'. And I'll see them in the theater, and I'll like the heck out of them. I mean, the reason I have some of the Blu-rays today is because I liked them in the theaters so much. I was like, you know what? This is good on the big screen, but I want to re-experience it and watch it at home. Perfect example. 50th anniversary of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was a couple years ago. That was the first time I've ever seen a Clint Eastwood spaghetti western movie. Watched it, loved it to pieces, bought the trilogy on Blu-ray, and I was like, fistful of dollars, more, was it more?
A few dollars
more, and I'm like, these are some good movies, and the scores by Ennio Morricone are incredible.
Right. So I wanted to bring up a couple of really cool cars that were in films that we haven't really talked about. So we haven't talked about trains. Okay. And you think about a train, it's a land vehicle. It's just, on these 2 rails. The current popular one is Snowpiercer, which I didn't care for. But when I was growing up, for me, it was the Wild Wild West train, with James Conrad. Okay. Yeah. That had all the cool gadgets, and they kind of overdid it on the Will Smith remake. But you go back like in the 1960s, and that was a cool vehicle,
Yeah, I think one of the coolest trains and probably most famous is Orient Express.
Yes.
Yep. Because granted, people die, but
Yeah, a lot of people die in that movie, but it's still a good movie and good actors too.
But
yeah, that's. Is there any other trains that you can think of? I mean,
Hogwarts Express.
The Hogwarts Express from Harry Potter
on platform 9 3/4.
Exactly.
Yeah, which doesn't exist. Some people still think it exists. It's not real. Sorry, but
you look at trains. There was this horrible TV show back in the 1970s called Super Train. To this day, I still can't find a copy of the pilot movie. You can see the trailer. It's horrible. Think of it as like the Love Boat on a train track.
Oh boy.
Okay, that's what it was really designed as.
No.
Yeah, it was pretty horrible. Okay. But I mean, look at the trains that they did in all those old westerns. The chase across the tops of them. You know, from the Lone Ranger to Gunsmoke to whatever, always jumping across the back of a train. You know,
Look at Mandalorian.
Yeah, the latest episode of Mandalorian.
You want to see the best chase scene in the world on a train, you have to go watch a Marx Brothers film. Okay, because they literally rip apart the train to keep fueling it in there. Silver Streak, great film, great train. You know. But the train, ironically, sadly, some of these, with these great trains, again, they're kind of forgotten based upon the story. They're not an integral part of the story.
Right. Where you had brought up a series, and when you were talking about trains, Love Boat, which it was all on the ship. Yeah, I know you did. It was a very popular show.
Well, it was. I watched it. I'll admit it. I watched it.
Jerome was there.
Doesn't always mean good.
Jerome was there when Love Boat was a thing.
It was a Saturday night. Okay, it was part of a 3-show domination on ABC. I can't remember the second one, but the 10 o'clock time frame was Fantasy Island.
Yeah.
Okay, so people stayed home and watched TV on a Saturday night in the 70s. Okay.
Too bad we don't do that anymore.
Yeah, I know.
It's sad.
But
we do that now all the time. Only we're streaming it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's it's kind of better when you're watching with your friends and family in front of a TV set as one big happy family. That was the day.
God, no, that never happened in my house.
No, I mean, for certain shows we did, not for everything, but for certain shows we did it for.
Yeah, well,
Sage makes a good point.
He does.
I was gonna say it, but
I'll tell you what, Sage. I'll tell you what. Thomas the Tank Engine, my first exposure to that great property was on Shining Time Station, okay?
Yeah.
Shining Time Station was one of my favorite all-time shows as a young Padawan learner before I knew what life was, okay? Watching that show and watching how cool those trains looked, I was so OCD about that I had my parents buy me a briefcase that says Thomas the Tank Engine Collection. You pop it open, and what do you put in there? You put every single Thomas the Tank Engine train that you can possibly get your freaking hands on. And I did, and I'm proud of it, so much so that I passed that on to my nieces and nephews, and they like it. That makes me happy. It passed. But Shining Time Station is fantastic, and Thomas the Tank Engine back in the heyday, that was some good stuff. Does anyone remember the live-action movie with, what's her name, Matilda, Mara Wilson, and Alec Baldwin?
Yes.
Yeah. There was a live-action movie called Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Look it up. It came out in 02, 01, something like that. Google it, my friends.
There's a new one coming next year.
Really?
Yeah. So, pop quiz, Ryan. What are the names of the other trains?
Let's see. Dude, we're going to be here all day. Fasten thy seatbelts. And this goes to the people watching at home. Thomas, Percy, James, Gordon, Henry, Diesel, Annie, Clarabelle, Donald. Who's another one? Harold the helicopter. You got freaking who's the other one? Oh my God, Mr. You got who else can I name?
Wow, so we're watching Ryan's childhood right here.
Yeah. So yeah, I can name some of them. Yeah, I still remember. I have to Google the rest. But
that's awesome.
What happens with age? But
somewhere in Ryan's somewhere in Ryan's toy box is the remnants of all the trains.
I named the carriages, Terry. I named the carriages that are behind Thomas on every single episode. It's Annie and Clarabelle, baby. I named them. Annie and Clarabelle. Can't forget about the two.
So we're gonna hop back into the 80s here.
Yeah, baby, the 80s are awesome.
Wait a minute. There's one other that we forgot to talk about. If we're going to talk about
1980.
The very first ones that really got people going, and I'm trying to find it. All right, hang on a second here. There it is. That's the one I want to look at. The trolley from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
Yes. Yes.
And now what?
Yes, we are going to the neighborhood of make-believe. Yes,
that's right.
King Friday, Prince Tuesday, Queen Sarah, X the Owl, Daniel Tiger.
Daniel Tiger. My daughter loves Daniel Tiger.
Does she watch the animated series that's on?
No, she reads the books, though. She reads the books.
Oh, she reads the books. Okay, see, that's even better because books, Nicole would agree with this, books are awesome.
Books will take you places, what I tell you.
Yes, and they will open the doors to your imagination. It's a beautiful thing.
So if you haven't seen if you haven't seen the documentary about Won't You Be My Neighbor, or if you haven't seen the Fred Hanks,
Fred Hanks? That's his name?
Tom Hanks being Fred Rogers.
It's called A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. That's the name of the
both of them.
biopic.
They're fabulous.
They're all fabulous. And anytime you mention Mr. Rogers,
I get a tear in my eye.
Oh, you
I
smile.
always get a tear in my eye.
Okay, I'm gonna go on just a little rant here.
Sorry about Terrence, Terry.
The 2019 Oscars, when they didn't even nominate that documentary, is ludicrous.
Criminal.
Which documentary?
The Mr. Rogers documentary.
Yeah.
It was the best documentary of that year.
Oh, dude, it got Oscar snubbed. Yeah, it got Oscars. And by the way, Terry brings up a good point. You had George Carlin as the first Mr. Conductor, and then Ringo Starr replaced him. Yes, that is true. I remember every episode of that, Terry. Thank you.
Yep.
And speaking of a person who you don't think would ever transverse like lines, but like you go from watching like George Carlin's comedy to watching him on
Hey, Nicole, people have range. They can go from one genre to another.
No, I got to agree with Nicole on this one.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, like,
I respected him more because I'm like, hey, not every other word is the F word.
I know, because he himself, and then he could be Mr. Conductor, and then he could be Rufus in Bill and Ted's 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And you know what's funny is Robin Williams was the opposite. He stars in this family-friendly type of stuff, and then his stand-up is more like totally
Oh
off.
my god.
Dude, is it off the rails or what, man?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we're gonna hop back into the 80s.
80s, baby, 80s.
During the same time as Knight Rider, we had and Magna, we had another show that used a van, and that was called the A-Team.
Where nobody got shot with a gun.
Pity the fool. I pity the fool who don't have that car in their collection, but Willow has it.
That van is, the toy version of that van is somewhere in the kid's room. I don't know where.
I've seen that van. That toy van is selling like hotcakes all over these Facebook toy collectors groups that I've been seeing. It's everywhere. That 18 van is everywhere.
As I told Willow before the show started, the stuff they did with that van, you were like, wow.
How is that possible?
That's called reinforced suspension.
Yeah, Jerome's right. Absolutely right. It is reinforced suspension. Let's be honest.
And then on that same series, though, we had Face, who drove the white Corvette.
With something like that, I'm sure you can beat the hell out of, and it'll still keep kicking.
Oh yeah.
Unlike
It's
the
like one of those
newer,
watches, Willow. Takes a licking and keeps on ticking.
unlike the newer Dodge Caravans.
Yeah, you breathe on those wrong and they break down.
Nice one, Carl.
But I mean, the '80s also had a certain film with a car. Okay, with Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, I wonder what the name of that car was. Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me you built a time machine out of a DeLorean? Listen to me. If you're going to build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style? Yeah. I'm just saying.
I gotta say, I love the reasoning. About the frame, having to use the frame and all that. I'm like going, it's better than using it. You go, well, I couldn't get a Mustang out of the junkyard, but I could get all the parts for a DeLorean. Just a little cocaine.
Speaking of DeLoreans, there's actually a film about the DeLorean, like the maker of the DeLorean. I think it's on Netflix. I will put the links later. It is the story is crazy. It's bonkers.
Yeah. But yeah, that you can find a buddy of mine back in the '90s was rooting around a junkyard because that's what he does. He gets old cars, from junkyards and rebuilds them. Found himself a DeLorean and rebuilt it. And he said it was weird when he was driving down the road the way people would react to it. It was either cocaine or Back to the Future.
Glad he chose the latter. But yeah. No, when you asked this earlier, one of those the first car that comes to mind. Yes, the Batmobile comes to mind first because I grew up with '89 Batman. Let's be honest. But after that, if it's not the Aston Martin from GoldenEye, one of my favorite Bond films of all time, it's got to be the DeLorean. I mean, who wouldn't want to travel back or forwards in time and get away from this year that's been 2020? I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing if you have a DeLorean that actually has time circuits on, flux capacitor, engine running, and
Yeah, but see,
Great.
my luck, the DeLorean would malfunction, and I'd end up back in the Black Death. You know,
I could have ended up back in the old ages where I would have been cast out as a heretic or
Hey,
or
Ryan,
heretic or something.
since you love Back to the Future, and I know that you like the Marvel films, do you remember the line that Ant-Man gave in Endgame regarding
Yeah.
Back to the Future?
Mhm. We'll just go back in time. We'll fix it. He's like, "Are you telling me that your entire plan is based around Back to the Future?" And Ant-Man says, "Yes, actually it is." And then he finds out, and then Ant-Man looks at Tony Stark. He's like, "Wait, but you're telling me the whole thing about Back to the Future was all bullshit?" No, I refuse to believe. I think that all the stuff in Back to the Future was real. I'm going to hang on to that belief for you, Ant-Man, because I finally invent something that works. I mean, I believe in that. So give me a flux capacitor and time circuits on in a DeLorean. And I'll take that over any day of the week and twice on Sunday. Yeah.
Okay.
Imagine if I had one of those in my driveway, Brian, how much credibility I would have to my name. Because
Why
the
don't you-
measly little
why don't
car
you
that I
just
drive
cross-
right now is nothing compared to a DeLorean.
Hey Ryan, why don't you cross the streams and have a Batmobile that can time travel?
That would be nice, but I don't want to hurt Jerome's feelings and cross the streams because it could be bad. So I don't know. I just don't want to hurt Jerome's feelings. I don't want to do that. It's not fair.
don't worry about that.
Okay. I mean, if someone offered me both cars or they crossed them together, I mean, I'd be up to see what the concept art for that would look like.
Yeah.
If someone wants to draw up the plans first before you actually build the thing. But yeah, we'll see. But whatever. I'll take 89 Batmobile in my driveway or a DeLorean any day, Brian. It doesn't matter. I can switch off.
So when these films came out, how popular
1985.
was?
Great year.
Oh,
Yeah.
hold on, I gotta bring this up.
1985 was a great year.
So Terry was talking about how they're built down the street from him in Belfast, but
Wow, he'll go straight up to 88 miles per hour, and that's when you see some serious stuff. I want to be family
Yeah,
friendly.
but you got to get that fuel, or you got to get that 1 point something gigawatts of power.
1.21 gigawatts of electricity I need. What the hell is a gigawatt?
A lot of juice.
When this film or these films came out,
1985.
Jerome, how popular was the DeLorean after that first film?
Oh, huge.
It was everywhere.
Huge. It was people were scrambling trying to find DeLoreans, and it was a lot of exhibitors that were doing it. And like I said, you know, the only place you were finding them was either people who had them and were trying to unload them because of the problems with them, or you were going to junkyards. And that's where most people that I've seen that got them said they found them in a junkyard, and then they had to spend a few years and some money to rebuild them. And you will see that most DeLoreans are only sitting still. They don't move because they had some real problems with the engines.
Yeah, and they did bring back DeLorean. I think it was last year or the year before here in Florida, in Sarasota. I don't know if they're going to. I guess they're going to bring back production, and they're looking for. Yeah,
they're not going to get the money for it. Not with the current situation of the economy. Okay, things like that are not happening until the pandemic is resolved. Because the DeLorean is unique in that it's a stainless steel frame. Okay, and the purpose of that is to prevent rust.
They were made in tinfoil. Terry, if you want to throw that out there, sure, but still, it's such a beautiful car.
It is. It's a beautiful, but the reason it's beautiful though is also because of the gull wing doors.
Yeah, baby, that's like futuristic stuff.
Right, but gull wing doors have a real problem if you're parking at the mall.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
note
first
to
off,
myself, don't go to Twin Pines Mall. Okay.
No, it's One Pine Mall now.
Oh, yeah, you mean Lone Pine Mall?
Lone
It was
Pine
called
Mall.
Lone Pine Mall at the end of the movie.
Right.
Old man Peabody owned all of this. He had this crazy notion about breeding pine trees.
Yeah, but if you look at a gull wing and you try to open it, if somebody's parked too close to you, you ain't opening that car.
No.
You ain't getting out of that car.
And since how we're on the subject of time travel vehicles,
Yeah.
Whoa.
What is this?
Oh yes, that's the original
Is that
time
H.G.
machine.
Wells?
That's George Pal's time
Wells?
machine.
Hmm.
That's an interesting one on that one. And here's the thing, I met a guy who owned it.
Really?
oh wow,
An
Yeah,
actual time machine? They actually time
No,
travel? That's amazing.
that actual prop.
Oh, I thought it
okay.
was real. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Forrest Ackerman had it.
No
Because
kidding.
he would collect all this stuff because that was getting thrown out when the movie was done, and Forrest grabbed it and he had it, and then he got sick, and he offered it to the Science Fiction Museum, and they turned it down.
How can you say no to that? That's blasphemy.
Apparently, they just didn't know what it was or whatever, which has a lot of problems with me with the curator of that museum.
You didn't watch the original film? What's wrong with you?
Okay,
But-
so you don't understand the most famous science fiction word.
Time Machine. Yeah.
Time Machine novel. Yeah, a
Like, you're
novel.
the curator of a science fiction.
The problem, Nicole, the problem that we have with a lot of this stuff is
Bureaucracy.
no, it has nothing to do with bureaucracy. It has everything to do with the fact that these guys have only seen things from a certain point of view of time. They haven't had time, or they're not old enough to have expanded opportunities. I had this ran into when I went into a museum of swords and armor and stuff like that. He only knew this much and hadn't, because he was something like 28, hadn't had a chance to expand his repertoire. That's why you like the older curators. They see and done more.
Yeah.
Guys who are in their 20s are suddenly appointed as curator. You kind of look at them going, really? Just because you got a PhD?
I kind of feel like that about anything that's a subject area, though, because as soon as someone's an expert of something, they should be the one running it, not other people. Like, this is my problem with politics and a lot of things, like politics.
Right.
12-year-old curator running it. Yeah.
Whatever.
So
like,
ended up,
figure it out.
the good thing is, though, is a number of fans did save it. Okay, which is why you got to see it on The Big Bang Theory.
Well, that's good.
Okay. As to where its location is, I don't know, but I do know that Forrest Ackerman had stuff that would drive you crazy. Okay, so which is another subject.
If we can find this time machine, we should take what is known as a field trip. That would be nice.
I'm good to go. I got my bags
We
packed.
should take a field trip. We should take that magic school bus and use that. Hang out with Miss Frizzle and the kids.
Oh, that bus is scary.
There's a famous TV
famous
vehicle we didn't bring up.
You know,
Magic School Bus is one of the most famous animated series of all time, Brian, and for good reason.
that's only the second most famous school bus of all time.
Oh, there's another one?
Yeah, but you had to grow up in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, you're going to have to refresh my memory because I have no idea what the other
The
school bus
Partridge
was.
Family.
Yeah, the Partridge.
The Partridge Family had a bus?
Oh, yeah. That was their tour
Yeah.
thing, man. They
Okay.
painted it themselves. It was hip as everything. It was a
hip.
big controversy.
There's a
That was-
word I haven't heard in a long
They
time.
didn't the Muppets have a bus too?
Yes.
Yes, they did, but it wasn't as popular as the Partridge Family because they didn't have David Cassidy.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing, though. The Muppets had Dr. Teeth. And he's a cool
yeah,
cat.
that's true.
So-
He is, but they had Animal. So
yeah,
you
but
know,
Animal was a decent drummer, though.
that's
He had
true.
a very difficult time focusing on the music because he was going after women. But yeah, he was still a good. Decent
That's right,
drummer.
Sage. Come on, get happy. You know. By the
Before my
way,
time.
Ryan, try to find the clip with Animal and Buddy Rich doing a drum off.
Really.
That
Yes.
is funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's also brilliant because Buddy Rich is a hell of a. Is
I was not aware that they did a bit of a crossover.
Yeah. So back to vehicles.
Yeah, Magic School Bus, Brian. How come that wasn't on your list?
You know, I got to say, it wasn't on my list either.
Oh, how dare you people.
We have time to get to
There's a lot.
In my
Lot of-
defense, he didn't make the list when I was here, so
Well, I was just trying to write things down. Like there's still more I was looking up, but I had to start the show. So
Yeah, there's a plethora, Brian.
Are we
We
gonna?
may have
talk
to
about-
revisit this.
Yeah, we got to do a part 2. Are
Yeah.
we gonna do? Are we gonna do boats at all?
Go for it.
Boats.
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 Oh, wait a minute. Did
Both
Brian
are-
and Nicole? Oh, there you
Oh,
go.
there they
Look
are.
like they locked
froze
up.
a bit, a little bit.
Okay, so on my master list, to me, the first thing that came up was the Sea View. If you've never seen Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea TV show, okay, that was the one that basically got people talking about water. Okay, it was really cool. Had this honking big glass window in the front of the sub. Okay, and ironically, underneath it, which launched, was a flying sub. Okay, and it was totally ridiculous and silly, and everybody loved it anyway. And if you go a chance and look at some of it, it was an Irwin Allen production. I mean, he did most of the science fiction in the 1960s. And this was like really out there in left field, but it was popular. It was very popular. You
Well,
know?
there's another popular from literature that was turned into film, and that is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
The Nautilus.
That's right.
Yeah, that was great. The best version of that, in my opinion, was the Disney version. Unfortunately, instead of making Captain Nimoy Indian, they turned him into James Mason.
And that was with Kirk Douglas, right?
Yes, and the big giant, and the first time people even thought about giant squids.
Giant squids.
You know, but yeah, it was that was a great one. That actually was a hugely popular film. There's let's see here. My personal favorite is, I don't know if many of you have heard of Skydiver from UFO. The giant, it's a submarine that they use to take out UFOs, and when they need to send up the Sky One, they hop down this slide. You got to find this launch Ryan online. It tilts up, and then the interceptor takes off like a intercontinental ballistic missile, and then it flies around like a fighter plane. It's really cool. Trust me.
Yeah. The list of things I need to do before my life is over is just getting longer and longer.
Yep, yeah, it is. It is.
Ryan, you're still like 5, so you have.
I know. I am 5. Yeah, I just turned 5 last week. Thanks for bringing that
Okay.
up.
Things. You have a lot more time than most of us.
It's true. It's true. I'm going to outlive all of you. That's the thing.
Yeah, here are 2 popular ones also from the 60s. Is Yellow Submarine.
I've heard of it.
From the movie and the sound and the album, great thing.
I have heard of it.
Which surprised me when I was doing this list that somebody brought it up was the SS Minnow.
SS Minnow.
First time I heard that even mentioned in pop culture was in the '91 film Captain Ron with Kurt Russell.
So a lot of the guys at work were like, "How could you have forgotten the SS Minnow?"
Yeah,
I heard the reference
Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
Oh, that's that. Yeah. I grew up on reruns of Gilligan's Island. Yeah, it's coming back now. It's coming back.
So,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, Terry said Inspector Gadget's car was pretty cool.
Well, the thing about Inspector Gadget's car, it reminded me a little bit of the DeLorean.
Yeah, but
bit.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, but most people didn't pay attention to the car because this guy's a guy that's got a helicopter in his hat.
Yeah.
He didn't need the car.
I agree with this, man. Cars were so cool in Mad Max.
In the Mad Max franchise.
Oh, wait a minute here. I got a note on that. The Pursuit Special, a.k.a. the last of the V8 Interceptors.
So that's what that was.
Yeah, it started in Mad Max and became super popular due to Road Warrior.
Wow.
Well, I'm going to get to another horror film with a cool car, but we're talking about boats. The Black Pearl.
Yeah.
Very famous. Pirates of the
Caribbean. From a really good action adventure movie that absolutely had no sequels or spin-offs. Dude, that solo film is so ridiculously good. Even to this day, 17, 18 years later, that film holds up very well. It's a good adventure film. It's a fun time at the theater. That's for sure. You sit in the theater, you hear that score come on, you hear Jack Sparrow doing his thing, and you got Will Turner going for the girl, a.k.a. Keira Knightley. Keira Knightley, we love you.
So I got one.
That, it's amazing.
I got a car that's not only a car, a plane, and a boat.
Really?
You all grew up on it.
Did we?
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Right.
Now, here's a trivia question for you. Who wrote the novel that's based off of? This one will surprise you.
It wasn't.
Willow's looking it up right now.
It wasn't the first. Willow's cheating on her test.
That's okay.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't.
I'll tell you right now. You're not going to unless you look it up. It was Ian Fleming.
James Bond author himself.
Yeah. Yeah, there was a reason for it, and that's how you got E.B. White's. At the same time, you got E.B. White writing Charlotte's Web and Stuart Little. Okay, but you think about it. You got a Victorian car that's flying around like an airplane with virtual, like a Harrier with helicopters. It becomes this speedboat, at one point, and then it's a race car also.
Yeah, Carl.
Carl, what happened was the publishers were looking for popular writers to write some children's books because they weren't getting any kids' books, from anybody good at the time. And so E.B. White, Ian Fleming, you look back at that whole time frame when it came out of all the popular kids' books that came out. They were done by writers who were famous as adult writers and not as kids writers. I mean, really, nobody remembers what E.B. wrote for when he wrote for The Atlantic or whatever. They only remember Charlotte's Web.
There's a movie that'll rip your heart out and have you crying rivers of tears at the end. Let me tell you, dude, that movie will tear you apart.
Forget the movie, read the book, man.
I think I read the clip notes.
One was the same thing.
But the animated movie will bring you to tears.
So, but yeah, I mean, there was lots of stuff. I mean, we were talking, like I said, there's the Red October.
Yeah.
I finally saw that movie with Connery. Darn, that's a good movie. That's a good movie.
It is. Thunderbird 4 from the Thunderbirds.
I saw the Bill Paxton version of that.
Yeah, you need to go watch the Super Marionation ones. Somebody brought up Sequest.
Oh, Sequest, DSV, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, how about this one? How many of you know what the Argo is? And I'm not talking about Star Blazers.
Why does that name sound so familiar to me?
Argo?
Yeah, the Argo.
Why does that sound so familiar?
Because there was a movie made with it as a character. Jason and the Argonauts.
Ah, that's it. Okay.
Now we're talking. Yeah, we're talking about this was a classical mythological tale that they made into a movie.
Jason and the Argonauts, got it.
Okay. What else do I have on my list here?
It's a long list. We're going to be here all day, guys.
Well, let me ask you this, Ryan. Do you feel the need?
Do I feel the need? That depends, Brian. There's a lot of people that have needs in their life, especially how crappy. 2020 has been a horrible year for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons, specifically a pandemic. But outside of that, do I have a need, Brian? I do have a need. A need for speed.
I'm gonna hit the brakes. They're gonna fly right by.
Exactly, dude. F-14 Tomcats, bring it all, man. I love it.
Yeah.
Kenny Loggins' Danger Zone is the first song I'm gonna hear every day when I wake up in the morning. Guaranteed. It's on my morning mixtapes, baby. Guaranteed.
The F-14 Tomcat in Top Gun was like a character in this film. It helped tell the story.
Hell. Come on, call it what it was. It was a recruiting movie for the Navy.
It was.
Full planes, the pilot gets the girl. Come on.
Okay, then I got another one for you. How about a Corsair? You know what a Corsair was?
That was during. This was before Vietnam, right?
Very much before Vietnam. How about the Second World War fighting in the Solomon Slot?
Yeah.
The Marines wore it, used it. It was from Baba Black Sheep, or known as Black Sheep Squadron. Happy Boynton, the Congressional Medal of Honor winner. Okay. Or better yet, how about this one for planes? How many of you remember the balloon from Around the World in 80 Days?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Or from the other one, which was 6 weeks in a balloon when they try to go across Africa by balloon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, since how we're talking about airplanes, how about Snoopy versus the Red Baron?
Oh, yes. Yes.
That sequence and subplot, I never understood the popularity of that. I get bored watching that.
Well, then again, it's 1960s, man.
Oh,
You're talking about people boring.
Honestly, in the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown special, I fast forward that whole subplot.
Oh, that is a great section.
No, I fast forwarded to the kids bobbing for apples, getting candy, and except in my boy Charlie's case, I got a rock. I mean, it's like, and then Linus and who's the other one? Sally are sitting in the pumpkin patch looking for that great pumpkin. That part I watched the movie for, but the Red Baron, that was Sherlock. That was Charles Schultz's requirement because that was important to him. And but yeah, that spawned 2 songs. Mm-hmm.
Okay, which is hysterical. The toy lines. There was a game that I had as a kid with that.
I didn't know there was a game.
Oh yeah,
I knew there was a toy line because, as we all know, Peanuts characters they sell really well in merchandising.
And that film in 2015, they brought the Red Baron back.
Excellent.
The Peanuts movie? Yes, and I enjoyed that movie. By the way, that was a good reboot.
That
the
was.
snow cone maker, which was part of his was part of the Snoopy house. Okay.
Yeah, here's a popularity question. How many people started doing the situation with, what was it, Lucy, when she's like, you're going to kick this football, but then you pull it away and then people land flat on their back.
Yeah,
How many
people saw that coming a mile away.
Yeah, but did anyone else pull that prank in the real world when those movies came out?
Well, metaphorically, a lot of that
Didn't
happened.
work.
Yeah, it did never work. But
Mm.
everybody could relate to being Charlie Brown in the baseball game.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know?
Person grits his teeth and shows real determination.
And then he gets hit at the home run. Okay, you know.
Yeah. And then he gets,
But you're right. I love the doghouse as the Sopwith Camp.
Yeah.
You know.
Boy, that doghouse had everything for every holiday.
Oh, it did. It did.
Thanksgiving, he helped set up the Thanksgiving table, and then he set up his Christmas lights.
You should definitely do some research on that doghouse. It's like the TARDIS.
Yeah.
Swear it's
Yeah.
bigger on the inside than it is on the outside.
Yeah,
You know?
so
Yeah.
was Scooby-Doo's doghouse.
Did Scooby-Doo actually have he had a doghouse?
No, he didn't. He was in the Mystery Machine all the time.
Okay.
Speaking of,
I figured he was.
the
Yeah.
Mystery Machine.
Yeah. Which
But-
again, I claim that guys kidnapping kids would use the Mystery Machine. You know.
We're stoners by the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But one thing before we move too far beyond Peanuts, though, because I think part of the joy of Peanuts, like when you're a kid, is that Snoopy never loses his sense of wonder.
Yeah.
Like, all of this
That's
stuff
good, yeah.
happens, and it stars him. Like he goes camping, and he's the red bear. He's doing things that we
He
could
goes
only.
to summer camp.
And the kids, of course, like there's no adult influence with the kids too. But then
Wah, 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 wah. There are adults on this show. There are adults on this show. You just never see them. You just hear them go, wah, wah, wah,
you
wah,
never
wah.
hear them.
Nicole's a teacher. Have you ever done that to your kids and your students gone?
Well, no, I reference it all the time. I said, "Why are you looking at me like Charlie Brown?" I'm not doing this. And
There
then,
you go. All right.
man, but it's the magic of the show. Because, like, when I watch it with the kids now, I'm like, "Why the hell can't Charlie catch a break? Like, what the hell?"
He does
Because
get the rough end of the
Charlie-
stick, but he keeps trying, though. That's the thing
That's
people
right.
learn about him.
That's
He
right.
keeps trying because he never quits.
Never give up.
That's right.
Never
But
quit.
Charlie Brown is also every one of us.
He is.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
as a kid, what happens? There's always one kid who's the big winner, and we're not it.
There's always that
You know?
one kid who doesn't get invited to the party.
There's
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
You know?
That's why
There's
we're
the
here.
person that gets picked last on the baseball team. We've
That's
been
why
there.
we created
I've seen
a
it.
convention so that we have a place for us to
Yeah,
go.
right.
Everyone knows we-
knows the history.
we as children felt when we were picked last on the kickball team. It was
You know,
no
the
fun.
only reason I got picked first on dodgeball was because I caught the ball a couple of times against the big superheroes on the dodgeball game.
So you were the one who, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
There you go. There you go.
You were the man.
If you think about the gang, though, there's one of us in everybody's group of friends. There's one of the Peanuts.
Yep,
and
one
all of
Linus,
it.
one
There's
Sally,
always the one that you can't really tell what they are.
one Lucy.
And there's always a Lucy. There's
By the way,
always
there's always a Schroeder.
Lucy,
yeah.
There's always a
Always a Schroeder
Linus.
playing
There's always a
piano.
Sally. So
Has there ever been? I mean, is there a pig pen in every one of our group of friends? Is there a pig pen?
Probably, but I don't want to say who I think it might.
Yeah, we don't want to say who it is, but we're thinking
they
hypothetically.
might be reformed pens, though.
Now,
Yeah.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say if Mark was in here, he would he's not afraid to say anything.
But that's why we love Mark. That's why we love Mark.
We all love Mark.
But
So-
yeah, but you know, as a vehicle, man, that doghouse was absolutely amazing.
Well,
You
we
know?
had everything in it.
Talk about something that was special. What about this Bell 222A known as Airwolf?
Airwolf, yeah, which was totally ridiculous as a chopper. Okay, you know, suddenly the whole body is this wing to fly at supersonic speeds. Sorry, at that speed, those blades are gonna like shot right off. You know. But you know, if you want to talk about planes, how about the Firefox?
Oh, with Clint Eastwood.
There you go.
He had
Telepathic
to
weapons.
go to Russia to steal it, right?
Yeah. I mean, the MiG-30 with telepathic, you can only launch your weapons if you think about it. I'm like going, yeah, no, I'm good. You know? And what's even worse though is it's like, okay, yeah, maybe telepathic, fire this or on, off, whatever, alpha waves, but you have to think in Russian. Okay, come on.
Hey, Willow, I'm reading your mind. You're like, Jerome, you raised me a Firefox. I raised you a Blackbird from the X-Men animated series.
Oh my god!
The SR-71. Just talked with somebody whose father worked on one of those yesterday.
That is amazing. Everyone, to the Blackbird. Damn it, blow that fence.
X-Men.
See, I love my husband dearly, but he ruined that whole ship for me because of the fact that he's all. Reality is only 2 people can fit in that ship.
Well, in my world, they don't.
I want you to go find. It's called the L.A. Speed Story.
Okay.
It's about the SR-71. It's a riot. Okay.
It's a beautiful plane. Like it's a beautiful. Well, I don't know. Can you call it a ship or do you call it a plane? But
it leaks like a sieve. Okay, because that's because how fast it goes in the altitudes, it expands to seal everything up. But when it's down on the ground, it has to have the ability to expand due to heat.
Yeah, and it was the fastest flying vehicle until the Concorde.
No. Faster than the Concorde.
My husband.
The husband, aka the love of Willow's life in Canada, says, "I don't actually ruin your entire childhood." Well, I don't know, Joe. That may be debatable after the course of this broadcast. Was it Willow? Are you aware that they're going to bring back the Blackbird, but they're going to have a Transformers X-Men crossover?
Yeah, I'm going to have to kill you people.
You're gonna buy that when it comes out, Willow? You're gonna put that on your mantle?
Yeah, I probably will because my husband's a Transformers fan.
So, why does everything have to transform?
Let's ask Joseph. He's in the comment section. Hey, Joseph, is this going to be a birthday present or a Christmas present when it comes out?
That's a good question.
Answers.
Willow is dying of curiosity in the back here in the studio.
Well, he can't really tell because Christmas isn't here and Santa hasn't shown up.
I will never confirm nor deny.
That's what he's probably going to put that in the chat.
He's probably looking it up right now.
He's going to Google it on GameStop.com.
But in the spirit of the holidays, here's another vehicle: Santa's sleigh.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
that can do everything.
Yep. It's a
TARDIS. I'm telling you, it's a TARDIS with that bag of holding in the background.
I have been saying this for a while now. Santa is a Time Lord.
Have we established that? Is he a Time Lord?
That's how it makes sense. That's the only way it makes sense.
Okay. I think Christian would agree.
Yeah, Christian would agree.
But
Congrats on Santa's sleigh being a Time Lord and a TARDIS. I did not know that.
It has to be. It's the only explanation for some of the
Congratulations. Stuff. It's wonderful, Santa.
But of course,
something we're going to pick up later today.
Oh, Willow, I see a shopping trip in your future.
Grant says
welcome back,
Grant.
But yeah, there's a lot of interesting things out there. The airplane stuff. I didn't have time to try doing a list on that, but there are some serious ones.
Well, they made a war film, Strategic Air Command.
Great film with Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, that was I'm trying to remember the name of the plane.
Oh, there were several planes in there. There were several bombers in there.
Several planes.
Yeah, hang on a second here.
It was
What about the vehicles we saw in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles?
Oh, Planes, Trains, and all. Great movie.
Okay, what about
Tommy Boy?
Station Wagon.
Uncle Buck's Station Wagon?
I know it wasn't like technically a character, but there were some hijinks that happened in it.
The only thing I remember of Uncle Buck, Brian, is when he made the world's largest pancakes.
Well, if you're talking the station wagon, then what about the Griswolds?
The family truckster.
I was going to bring that up.
The family truckster. You may hate it now, but wait till you drive it.
And then Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh,
I don't know, man. That family truckster was one heck of a vehicle. It went through so much in that movie. My goodness gracious! But at least it got into Wally World.
Hey, as someone who owns a station wagon, I can attest that those are very reliable vehicles and very beautiful to drive.
Yeah, they're
Really, the
solid.
family truckster, Willow.
I wanted a Woody,
have you-
like with the wood panel
you
sides
wanted
and
a
everything.
Woody?
I want a lot of things.
That came out wrong, Nicole.
Yeah, Nicole, that came out really bad.
Yeah, that's a comment that can be translated into 50 different things.
Never mind.
we're
There
talking
goes the-
business.
Did we just pass our dirty joke quota on this broadcast? Probably.
No, but I
Yeah.
agree with Willow. With Nicole, that's a great looking car, though. You know, like the ones from the California beach days.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are nice looking cars.
Station
If
wagon.
I had one of those, I think I'd have to learn how to surf.
Well, what
Yeah,
about
Yeah,
what
yeah,
about
you
these
have to.
vehicles right here?
Station
I
wagon.
can't.
That's
What
not
is
a
it?
station wagon. That's a robot.
Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime.
But it's not a station wagon. It's not the same as a family truckster.
Yeah, but Optimus is great and all, but he's a living vehicle. I mean, who's going to drive Optimus?
When he
You know,
can just drive himself.
He can drive himself. I mean,
Optimus
if you-
Prime is not a station wagon. He's a semi-truck.
he
But
is.
he's a really good-looking semi-truck. That's,
Well, all right, there is
that's
that,
the
you know.
cool thing
I mean,
about it.
if you're going to talk about a transformer that allowed somebody to drive, it was Bumblebee.
Bumblebee. That's right.
It was a Corvette. Well, it was a bug. And then
It was first. It was a
transformed into
VW bug. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but
Well, there's
Volkswagen.
another famous, bug. Herbie.
Herbie the Love Bug. But that was a possessed car, man.
Yeah, that car had a demon possessed inside of it. We had to call Sam and Dean Winchester to take care of that.
Okay. I mean, come on. You're talking like when Herbie goes to Monte Carlo, they cut him in half, and he wins both first and third place in the race. Okay.
I think
So,
I
you
remember
know.
the Love Bug, Jerome, when I was a kid, but I also remember Herbie Fully Loaded.
Oh, that was with what's her name?
That was
Lindsay
Lindsay Lohan and Batman. By the way, Batman was in that as her father. Michael Keaton played the dad.
Right. But what was the actress?
Brian-
Lindsay Lohan. Lindsay
Michael-
Lohan.
Lindsay Lohan. That's right.
What was that, Brian?
Is Michael Keaton your dad?
No, we're just very good friends. That's all.
Did the check clear?
Yeah, it did. It cleared last week. Thanks. for bringing that up.
Yeah, Michael Keaton's his dad, like Gene Winchester is my husband. Like,
Yeah. That,
Yes? I don't know. That sounds really creepy when I think about it. What can I, dude? One of the first movies I saw as a child, Brian, was the '89 Batman movie. Okay, big influence on me. Big
well, that's
influence.
an indelible mark.
I'm just saying. I mean, Bob in that movie was my number one guy. You know, I'm just saying. But I could talk about that movie ad nauseum. Anyway,
Okay,
what other vehicles do we have to clear up before we head out of here? Because we're going on the 2-hour mark.
Okay.
That's a 2-hour mark here.
Okay. The TARDIS is definitely
Not
a
a vehicle,
vehicle,
it's a phone
but
It's a spaceship.
I was just going to say we'll have to touch on that next week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
next week. Next
Okay.
week during the sequel.
All right. Here's one that we haven't touched on: the light cycles.
From
You know
Tron?
what?
Oh yeah.
That movie, the sequel, turns a healthy 10 years young next week, which we are going to celebrate on our channel, which we'll plug at the end. But Tron's light cycles, I mean,
That was
my God, so good. And in Tron Legacy, that was the best IMAX 3D experience I've ever had in the theater. So, do I want a light cycle, Brian? Yes, I do.
You want a light cycle as you're holding your lightsaber?
No, that's really too many accidents.
Okay.
Too many traffic accidents.
That would be the coolest joust ever.
Hey, that would be cooler than what they did in A Knight's Tale, but still. I do want a light cycle, Brian. I love the light cycles in the movie and in the animated series as well, Tron Uprising.
Yeah. The light cycles were definitely hip on that. Is that you grab the handlebars and the thing just builds around you.
The grid is a wonderful thing, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
But yeah, the light cycles was one that I wanted to bring up. What else have we see here? Batgirl's bike bat cycle from the 1960s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did that one have a side cart?
No. Batman
No.
though had the side cart when he would go to the Batcopter.
Ah, okay.
And hers it was purple, just like her suit, right?
Yeah, it's purple with this bizarre bullet shield, whatever. You looked at that and that was really weird. The FAB-1 from Thunderbirds. Lady Penelope's 6-wheeled pink Rolls Royce that had lots of weaponry and could do some really cool stuff. So
Gem from Gemma and the Holograms had a Rolls Royce as well.
oh god, Gem, oh it hurts.
Jerome's not happy again. You're bringing up nightmares for Jerome over here. Oh, look, the young children just made a cameo on the show.
She did.
Don't forget Barbie, because that bitch had everything.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you, that Barbie Winnebago was a target.
Speaking of Winnebago,
It had to be a
what
target.
about Lone Star's Winnebago and Spaceballs?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so let's do this. The last 15 minutes we'll do just animated. So what about the Flintstones?
I grew up on the reruns, yeah.
Yeah, but you got to have strong feet for that, especially when you're breaking. If your heels aren't, you're going to slice those up pretty good.
What about you said animated series? What was it, Jetsons?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
The Jetsons had a ship, right?
Flying cars.
They had flying cars, unlike us, which we should have had in 2015. Hello, Back to the Future Part 2. Yeah, Jetsons was fun to watch. That was fun to watch back in the day. Reruns, I remember Jetsons the movie.
What about the Wacky Racers? There was tons of vehicles there.
The Wacky Racer?
Yeah, Wacky Racers. There were 12 cars. They were phenomenal. We've talked about this extensively on my show because Mark is a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
You just find the Fiat. I think it's the Fiat commercial where they do a live action version of the Wacky Racers. It's a riot.
Yeah.
But animation doesn't do a whole lot with vehicles other than things like the Mystery Machine and all that. They use them basically as to get from point A to point B.
Well, if you're talking about famous ones, Speed Buggy.
Well, he's the live car. I call him more character than vehicle.
I mean, if you want to talk animation, the Batmobile in the 92 animated series was a slick-looking car.
I was just about to bring that up.
And Willow, once again, when we go on cue, she is on her cue.
She is. She's on her mark.
So, by the way, Willow, that is a nice-looking car.
And yes, Terry, Thunderbirds was mentioned.
Yeah, we've been talking about Thunderbirds in and out of this show for the last 20 minutes, which, yeah, before my time.
The Thunderbirds had a vast amount of vehicles, though. Like, it was a great show.
Yeah, they only had five vehicles. Only
They had
five.
five.
Really? Only 5? I could have sworn they had more than that.
Nope. You had Thunderbird 1, which was the supersonic, goes to Mach 5 or 6 to get there first. You had Thunderbird 2, which was basically the transport, carried everything over. Thunderbird 3 was their space vehicle. That did all the work in space, and it was fast. Trust me, that thing was fast. Thunderbird 4 was the underwater yellow vehicle, and Thunderbird 5 was the monitoring space station in orbit for all the concerns.
Dang, this guy Jerome over here is good with his history. I will say this, though.
I didn't have a life growing up.
Yeah, no one had a life growing up when we were stuck to the TV every Saturday morning, for good reasons, though. We've interviewed this actor over the course of this year, Doug Stone as Matt Tracker on Mask. What about the vehicles on Mask?
Mask was interesting in that it was a full-blown commercial to sell toys, and it didn't do so well at all. People remember it, but it didn't sell the toys. And so it got canceled.
But it did establish a big following afterwards.
Oh, absolutely.
And then later on, they actually brought it over into G.I. Joe, which Paramount and Hasbro, with their new G.I. Joe movies, they want to do a live-action Mask and have it over eventually.
Oh, yeah.
Channing Tatum is going to play Matt Tracker? No, thank you.
No.
I
think Channing Tatum's career is pretty much over.
Yeah, which I'm okay with because Channing, you haven't really done much for me lately, so yeah, take a break, pal. But yeah, if they reboot Mask, I'd be curious to see where they go with it.
When I brought up G.I. Joe had tons of vehicles.
All right, here's one we've completely forgotten about.
Oh dear.
Wonder Woman's invisible jet.
It's invisible. No one sees it.
Because it was invisible.
You don't see it. So does it really count?
No, I didn't know you had one. That's cool. How much did you find it for? On eBay, right?
But you think about it. An invisible jet's been around since the 1940s. Okay.
That to me is it's like an outlier.
We can do that. I'll talk to you about it in a minute. Sorry, I'm dealing with food orders from children.
And doesn't work start soon for you?
Not till Monday. I get this.
Oh, I thought it was today. I'm sorry.
No, it starts on Monday. And then I think I have it goes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I think it's Sunday of next week is when I start another set of the Bizarro shifts.
Bizarro. Boy, there's a word I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah, well. But yeah, so you've got Wonder Woman's invisible jet. You've got the Quinjet from the Avengers.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. You've got that. There was in the comic books, there was the Blue Beetle's bug. I don't know if you ever saw it, which was sort of a takeoff. What? Willow's got into something.
So, Green Hornet.
The Black Beauty.
The Black Beauty, yep.
Oh,
Before
the best thing about the Black Beauty is you got to go watch the 1966 show. It was kept in a garage upside down, and they would twist this ratchet, and the whole thing would just twist over like that. It was so
that
cool.
trailer for the Seth Rogen movie didn't do me any favors.
That was a horrible rendition of the Green Hornet. But I mean, the other reason you watch the Green Hornet is Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I do have to say I like the crossover they did with the 66 Batman.
Oh, did you hear? You I don't know if you heard about it. Is that Burt Ward was terrified of Bruce Lee because of how fast he was, and Bruce Lee had to tone it down so that the cameras could catch his movements.
Because he's lightning quick.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've seen Enter the Dragon, so I've seen how the guy works.
Didn't they talk about how they did slow him down? Like they had to slow the reels down.
Well, not just that, but they also asked him to slow down too.
Physically.
Wow.
They did more recently. They did the same thing for Jet Li. They had to.
Yeah. Jet Li was just as fast. Yeah. So yeah, but the Black Beauty is a phenomenal car. And it's interesting is that it's quiet too. It's like an electric vehicle, and there's lots of really cool stuff on that car. I was gonna.
Oh yeah, the car from Men in Black.
Which version?
The red button.
Yeah, but which version? Because
There's the newer one now.
Well, there's the,
I like the one Jeff Brolin drove. I really like that car.
Well, I mean, you had that one. You had the original one. You had the one in MIB International, which was very fun. It flew. Yeah. You had the one in second, and then there was the wheels in the third film that they were driving, which actually goes back to the 1930s reference.
Yeah.
Did we lose Ryan? Did he have to run to the men's room? Is that what that is?
I guess so.
Okay.
He'll be back in a moment.
But yeah, those are some cool cars in that series.
Well, here's one. I mean, it's a real vehicle, but it's been featured in a lot of TV shows and movies, and that's Bigfoot, the monster truck.
Oh yeah, yeah. They did a lot with that because it was the first big monster truck out there, and it got all the press.
Yeah, until Gravedigger came along.
Yeah. Oh, say that to the wife.
I don't remember Bigfoot.
Bye, Carl. We'll see you around. Thanks for joining us.
See you in your chat. Trying to think of other.
I would say we should plug Carl's secret humor group because if you are someone who loves
only allowed if you aren't easily offended.
Yes, it is a great group.
There's lots of vehicles that were all over the place, but the question comes down to is are they memorable? And do they have an impact beyond 10 minutes after you're done watching it? And that's always the question you got to ask about vehicles.
Yeah, and I think that's like a lot of the stuff from the 80s will be iconic, will be remembered for all of entirety.
Well, 60s and well, I guess 60s, 70s, and 80s.
I think it's anytime after the 50s, because I think like as soon as car culture became a thing and we started paying attention to cars, like, I mean, Grease Lightning, from that moment on, like the 50s solidified our love of cars and kind of like pushed us through everything. So every iconic film that we had an iconic car, it kind of like we all gravitated towards it. And the 80s babies, we loved our stuff so much and we hold it so very close to our hearts.
I'm still trying to convince my husband to let me turn our car into
A Bluesmobile.
Blues Brothers.
Yeah, but see, look. Okay, remember the Willow? It's gotta have no catalytic converter, so it works good on regular gas. Okay, it's got cop tires, cop wheel, cop suspension.
Well, it has all that. I'm sure it does. We had,
but it needs a cigarette lighter.
we managed to get a hold of it. It's an old RCMP vehicle, so I'm sure it has.
Nice.
Oh yeah, that's
try very hard to convince my husband to let me keep it so that I can turn it into the Bluesmobile.
So
are you like really serious about doing like car shows and stuff, like getting cars and fixing them up and going to car shows?
Absolutely.
Can't you see the grease under her fingernails?
This would be the time when it would have been nice for my dad to still be alive. He could do all the body work. He could have taught me how to do that.
There's plenty of YouTube videos, I'm sure.
Yes.
But
a big sticker on the roof.
You should do anything. Seriously.
But in the early 1960s, there was a TV show called Route 66, and it was basically about this guy going from the East Coast to California, following this incredible highway called Route 66, and they changed who the guys were because of whether or not the actors were, but it was basically the same idea, and they were driving through in a Mustang. Okay, and I'm talking the 2-seater Mustang with the convertible. You're just looking at it and you're going, okay, you just don't get any cooler. Okay, but there's one car that was absolutely the coolest of all time. The El Camino.
Uh-huh.
Okay, there's a picture of Leonard Nimoy leaning against an El Camino. You don't get cooler than that.
Yep.
Ryan's on mute for some reason. There he is. Okay.
It's because I was typing. I didn't want the audience to hear what I was typing in the chat.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Don't worry, you guys got it. It's in the
If we
private
can
chat.
make it out.
I don't know the answer to your question there, Ryan.
Okay.
No, that's just the crossroads, because it's the crossroads
Okay.
of humans. That's a
Yeah. All right. I wasn't sure if it was part of Route 66 or it was just something else.
Something else. You're thinking
Something
of
else. But I remember the crossroads, Demon, and that is not a place you want to be.
You're thinking of Route 666.
which is
Which is a horror movie that does exist, by the way. It's an actual
it
horror
is.
movie.
I've heard the name a million times in my lifetime, but I've never actually seen a movie or other property based off of it.
Yeah,
I saw it the first time at a Blockbuster. Like,
Blockbuster? Are you really just dropping the
you
Blockbuster?
would walk through the video stores and you'd accidentally go down the horror aisle and you'd see all the covers of these horror movies and you're like, Mommy, that's scary.
Blockbuster was one of the greatest things a person could walk into, no matter what time of day or what day of the week. You walk in there, it's going to take you hours to make your picks, but at the same time, it's fun just walking around and discovering all these new and different films of different genres.
I miss renting movies, honestly.
Does anyone miss walking into a Blockbuster and renting their movie and buying a bucket of popcorn and candy at the checkout counter? Come on.
And it wasn't just the Blockbusters. I mean, you go to any of the independent video stores, and you would find films that you didn't even know existed.
That's true.
You grab it,
You
you read the back, you say, I want it, I don't want it, on to the next one.
Or it just came to video and there'd be a whole wall of them and you'd run over there and there wouldn't be a single one behind it. Oh!
You wouldn't be able to get a copy because all the copies were sold out.
The frustration.
But some of the greatest B films of all times, you would go and see them because that's all that was left. You know,
I miss going to a video store. I don't miss working at one.
Willow is turning everything upside their head. So she's like, I do like watching those movies and picking them up, but I don't like work.
Yeah,
there is still a video company around. They sell a lot online, but they actually do have brick and mortar places. I think in Tennessee and Michigan and Ohio. They're called Family Video.
Oh no, are those the ones that edit the films?
No.
Okay.
No, that's just the name of the thing. But they sell online, but
they
they
do?
also have stores that you can still rent.
Really?
They're really few and far between
Yeah.
now, but
Hint,
Yeah.
hint, Brian, send Ryan a link. I
And
missed those days, man. I missed that.
Mike says it was a Corvette, not a Mustang.
Oh, it was a Corvette that was featured on Route 67.
Was it?
Whatever.
Okay.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough. I didn't say I knew 100% about it,
But yeah, I missed those days, guys. Blockbuster, those were fun times. I rented video games for the first time there. That was fun.
Oh.
By the way, that's another idea for 2021, Brian. Let's relive the video store days and share our favorite memories.
Yes, Terry. That is so true. I was one of those weird people.
Hey, Terry, how about the people who walked in there and returned the films, but they never was kind and they didn't rewind?
There you go.
How about that?
Am I writing down?
Yeah, Brian's writing this down. See, I come up with ideas and they become gold, Jerry. Gold.
Do an episode about the video store days.
Yeah, and I want to hear Willow's horror stories about working retail.
I do too.
Well, okay, in reference to Clerks, this job would be great if it weren't for all the customers.
Hey, I don't know. There was a clip from this movie, Willow, that described one of the customer experiences of going into a video store. I'm not sure if it was from Clerks, one of the Kevin Smith movies, or another independent film, but a guy looks at the camera and says, "You know that one with that guy who was in that movie that was out last year? Do you have that one?" I don't know what movie that was from, but it may have been from Clerks.
Just now.
Terry did that too. Yeah.
One with that guy that's a cowboy.
Oh,
Which cowboy are we talking about here?
This has definitely been a fun episode, and we had to break it up. So next week we'll be back talking about spaceships, which there's a lot of those to talk about.
Space vehicles, baby.
Yes. So I want to
I'll
thank
see if I
Jerome.
can be available for that
Yeah,
one.
Jerome needs to be here for that. I want to hear his words of wisdom.
Well, we have Brian K. Morris coming on for next week, which is
Oh,
going to be
the writer Brian K. Morris is
amazing.
coming on?
Yes.
I should probably make an appearance for that then.
Yeah.
It's going to be an amazing show.
Yeah, so I want to thank Jerome. I know he's got a busy schedule. Jerome, I don't know if you're still doing Saturday morning cartoons going forward, but what do you guys have lined up?
Well, today, because of technical problems this morning, we moved the show to 5 o'clock, which should be in about 40 minutes. We're going to be doing our Millennial Garbage show. Rose's daughter, Rachel, is co-hosting. She came up with the idea, so Mark has basically started trashing it. And from our discussions this morning, Rachel says this is some of the worst stuff, might be some of the best and the worst stuff for millennials. Okay.
I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah.
Next
Next week is our Christmas show. We're
Okay.
going to be talking a lot about Christmas ones from Rudolph and Frosty and Santa Claus to episodes in shows, like say the Ghostbusters Christmas episode. And we're going to be talking about those. Then we take a break for the holidays because, this is, even though we're not going to be with families, we're going to probably all be doing this type of conferencing with family members. And then on, I think it's the 2nd is my show, and I have no idea what we're doing. I got to sit down and take a look at that. I'll probably do that at work when I'm working the 3 a.m. shift. And we'll come up with something then. But we're always looking for ideas. If people want to send us ideas, we'll look into them and see what's feasible and what's not. Because some of the ideas we get from people we have used, and some we looked at and went, it's a 30-second segment. Okay.
Yeah.
So let us know. Mark will take lots of info. I don't speak for Mark, but we are trying to get some real guests also now. Once we get this, but they won't be who you think they are. We're gonna we're gonna try to get some of the producers and some of the writers because those guys are fun because they're the ones who come up with all the wacky ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We will try to get some of the actors, but there's usually money involved with some of that, depending upon the actor. And we do this for fun and free. So we'll see what we can do.
There's a lot of voice actors though that have a good heart and just love talking and will do it. And money is an issue.
we've got a couple that we're putting feelers out. We're looking to see what's going on. You know, we've got a couple of feelers. Now remember, the problem is though is our show runs at 9:00 in the morning on the East Coast, and where the most voice actors live, that would be the West Coast, and it's 6 p.m. on a Saturday morning. I don't think so. Unless you're an 8-year-old kid, you don't get up at 6 a.m. on Saturday. You know.
Well, so we want to once again thank you for being here, and
love it.
Congratulations on the job. I know you've been here for months and months.
Thank you.
Definitely keep us updated with what's going on there.
Absolutely, absolutely. I will keep. I enjoy coming here with you guys. It's fun. I'll tell you, I love sparring with Ryan. You know, Ryan, he's one of my favorites to be with because we go after each other great, and we both know it's all in fun, and that's the beauty of it. You know, and Willow, you are a joy to be with. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
You know, so
I like talking to you too. Like I like picking your brain.
And Brian and Nicole, you guys are family now, so you know.
I just listen. I can't even keep up with anybody. I'm like, although next week I know that it won't be me that makes it dirty.
No boy. Oh boy. That is a teaser for
on the show. It won't be me.
It's gonna be next week's episode.
I will be good, but I can't speak for Brian.
I sit on 13-year-olds all day that know way more than I do about sex in general.
Oh boy.
So,
why do I feel like the gauntlet has been thrown down?
Yeah. Anyone else getting that vibe?
You want to say that Jerome because we don't know if he's
I mean, I hope.
You can tell me after the show.
I hope that can, but it's always fun to watch them, go back and forth. And I just, that's what I do on this show. I don't really do much else.
Oh, that's not true.
And offer my 2 cents, but overall, what do we have? Spaceships, and then what do we have?
Well, we have the spaceships, and then we're actually going to do a show the day after Christmas. It's a retrospective of how far we've come as a show, but then we're also going to look back at the year and then look ahead. I think it's going to be fun.
We are.
I mean, we're going to talk about current events and politics? Because I can guarantee you, nobody is going to tune in for that, my friend.
No, but we may be talking about that After Dark show since it's being brought up a lot. Mark's talked about it. Brown's talked about it. Will's talked about
it. Uncensored.
I do. I think we need to have an HWWS After Dark.
Uncensored.
Absolutely.
And Aaron, if you're watching this, write this down on your whiteboard.
It can be censored. Everything out of our mouths.
No, that's the point.
Can I just suggest something?
Go ahead.
Okay, so Thursday nights, there's hardly any shows happening Thursday nights. So how about we, or even Sunday nights, split up the week. Let's do something either one of those days.
I vote Sunday because Ryan has school on Thursday. Because when I go back to a little place called school, I have a night class on Thursday night. So unless you're willing to wait until 8-ish to do it.
As program director, I say that we need to start splitting up our shows a little bit more.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what they say? Goals for 2021. You do an inventory. You look at stuff that works, stuff that didn't, and see what you can improve on in 2021.
Yeah,
and shows on Tuesdays.
I have to thank Ryan for joining us. He's always a pleasure to have on here. Yeah, I gotta say, I love what you're doing at Nerd Culture. You guys are really kicking ass, and I can't wait to see what you guys do for the future. But what do you guys have coming up? This weekend.
Yeah, man. Now that I've been able to go on the new website that Josh Bauer put together and buy these ridiculously good-looking shirts, in our family that is HWWS Web TV. We love you all. Garrett, Sage, everybody behind the scenes, we love you to pieces. But as far as what Nerd Culture is doing, I'll tell you what we're doing. On the 17th, I believe it's Thursday the 17th, we're going to be celebrating Tron Legacy's 10th anniversary with a live watch-along. We're going to watch the movie. We're going to go back onto the grid. We're going to play some killer Daft Punk music. Yeah, Daft Punk, baby. And we're going to have a great panel of guests. It's going to be me. It's going to be Colin. It's going to be my tag team partner from the movie trivia matches, whose name also happens to be Ryan. Ryan, the Real or Deal O'Regan, is going to be in the house that night. That's going to be a blast. And then everything else, I can't think of it because there's just so much. But I am going to be interviewing some comic book artists like Rodney Fike, Sean Forney. They're going to be on the show coming up soon. So that's going to be exciting. Stay tuned for that. It's going to be all next week. on nerd culture, but I'll just keep it simple for you, Brian. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at It's Nerd Culture. You can find us there. YouTube channel, like, comment, subscribe, and in the meantime, happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you. And Willow, what about Willow Pillow Talk?
Willow's the program director. She's always busy. Sorry, Willow. That was just a cheap plug. I'm sorry.
I'm going to not make any references to that. I'm going to be a good girl. Next Tuesday, I actually have an interview with a country music star from Ireland, Stephen Rafferty. So thank you, Terry, for hooking us up with that. So oddly enough, I'm going on a Tuesday afternoon. I know I said no more shows on Tuesday. But anyway, so that's, and then I'm going to probably try to do another show sometime later on in the week so that I can have a conversation about the nerdy stuff that is happening. Marvel has announced all their movies, so I definitely want to talk about that. We had a conversation yesterday about Star Wars. Might as well do another one of those. Ryan's just rocking out over there in the corner. But yeah, you can find me on Skylar Productions on Facebook. You can find me on here, Reels and Reels. You can find me YouTube, Twitch, Facebook.
And what's that Twitch name again?
63 Beast. So yeah, you can find me pretty much everywhere on social media.
And you can find us here every Saturday at 2:15, where we basically throw stuff at the dartboard and see what sticks.
Which is real life scenarios
so
here, because that's the way we do things.
Is that like how you cook spaghetti? If it sticks to the wall,
no, but I have thrown it a lot at people.
Have you now?
It's a thing here where I'm the only female, so sometimes just.
My mother had the same problem. She would whack us with a spoon, with a wooden spoon.
Before we end, this is a little preview of the guest that's joining us next week.
From author Brian K. Morris comes an epic tale of armor forged by a god, a hero forged by courage, and an ancient menace poised to re-emerge and threaten our world. Volcana, Rebirth of the Champion, is available on Amazon.com. Get your copy today.
That's going to be a fun episode, talking spaceships with Brian K. Morris. And if you've ever seen his shows, you know how it's going to go.
Anything goes.
So it's time to say goodbye as we ring the bell. Until next week, you guys. Stay safe.